Oh, we're all set. Okay, let me stop the screen share and let me go on full screen and we are ready this evening. Again, folks, thank you. Oh, it's still going. Hold on there. My music is still in the background. It didn't stop. There we go. We're all good. Okay, so this evening is again in line to the campaigns that are going to be starting in December, and Tammy and I are really excited about that. I had a great conversation with Joe Vertecki this morning. Actually, he's flying in from Ghana. Was it Ghana or Nigeria? I think he was flying in out of Ghana to come back to the USA. I think he's arriving tomorrow, and he's excited to be part of our calls. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And tonight, the purpose of the training is really to, as the title says, is to connect and reconnect, because this is what our business is all about. And what we want to do this evening is to take some segments of trainings that are compiled from the prospecting, inviting, following up, and give you a bit of direction as to where to find these recorded trainings. And Tammy and I always try to update these trainings on a regular basis to make sure that we're compatible with the new times and how we do business. And I really, really recommend that you go back to those training. I'll point you in the right direction in a minute here, but that you go back to these segments, and you don't have to listen to the whole thing. Focus on the segments that will illustrate the areas that you need to concentrate on, and that's the message here this evening. Tammy, do you have anything else you want to add before we start? I start sharing my screen.
Yes, it's obviously we need to learn the basic fundamentals in building this business. And of course, our business is about connecting with people. So that's why tonight's subject is really important. But if you do go back to the recordings, once you watch a recording, do the assignments and act on what you need to do, what you learned from that video, instead of going through the process and just learning, because we all learn every single day. But do you actually apply it on a daily basis? That's the big thing. And 'tis the season to connect. People are just open, and lots of things are going back to a good state, and people are happier now. We just finished all major conventions with Max International, and the markets are literally on fire. And so this is the time to be actively engaged in, more importantly, reconnecting. Because I just looking at all of you right now, I know that every single one of you has a fair amount of people on their list. How many that we're seeing right now? And if you're Facebook Live and you want to respond on Facebook Live, but how many of you have a list of at least 100 people? 100 people in your phone, in your social media, in your list. How many have at least 100 people?
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. For sure you do. I mean, you guys all have been around for a while now. So that should be an easy process for you. And getting back to those, like, it's important to talk to new people, but you always got to keep building those relationships and getting back to people. And that's the key. And finding out where people are in their life. As I always say, anybody who works with me knows there's 365 days a year. Do you think every single day the circumstances is the same for them in that year? Never, never. You just got to catch people on the right time. That's why follow-up is so critical in our business. You've already got great relationships with a lot of people. If you're on social media, sorry, Chris, I'm kind of going on and on.
No,
And
you're
you can go
fine. You're
back to the
totally fine.
slides. But if you're on social media, let me ask you a question. How many people have more than 500 people as friends on any of your platforms? Facebook, Instagram. You can put it in the chat, or you can, yeah. You know what? Go ahead and write it in the chat. How many people do you have, like, on the top of your head on the social media platform? What's the numbers in the chat? I'm just waiting to see some numbers come up. Yeah, over 1,000, Jazz. Wow. Wow. So you guys have a lot of connections if you add it all up. How many of these people have you built a relationship with? That's the big question. So how do you communicate with them and pull them off the platform? Because let's face it, today's world, I mean, we're online a lot. Most people are, getting comfortable with this social media presence. So try to build those relationships by messaging people and not always doing the comment section. If you like something about what they just posted, privately message them. This is how I build my relationships on the social media platform, not just engaging in the post. I try and get them off. And my goal is to totally get them off social media and become a connection. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're
I'm
correct,
going to
Tammy.
let Chris go ahead because I know he wanted to share some of the slides.
Yeah, no,
Does any of
we'll do
this make
that.
sense to you guys? Thumbs up if it makes sense. Okay.
And that's what it is, guys. Social media, as you start gathering your contacts, and I know some of you are doing phenomenal. This past Saturday, Olga did a wonderful training on TikTok, and it was a lot of good information. I'm going back to some of the segments, and it's actually really straightforward to use. And the key is to get them out of that environment so you can get closer to them, right? It's not having 5,000 friends that matters. What matters is from these 5,000 friends that you tailor your approach and get them off that and putting into your private list as communicating as a contact. And this is what many of you are doing. And I know because I do three-way calls with some of you that actually has extracted some of those leads. And this is exactly what you have done is you have connected and you reconnected with these people and you're staying in contact with them, and that's what's so important. And also what I wanted to share with you, that's something that it's long overdue. I mean, this book here, and I know many of you are aware of this book that we wrote. You can obviously get the electronic copy, or you can get the physical copy that you see behind here. And the reason why I'm saying this, guys, Tammy and I, we really don't care about the income. It's so cheap to buy. At the end of the day, our goal is to educate the world. And the really interesting thing is, Tammy and I really underestimated what's in there. Because there's really a lot of. I don't know if you've read the book, because I know most of you here have it. As many of you know, Tammy and I are being mentored by a millionaire in the industry. He's a Nigerian man, a phenomenal guy, and his name is Ugochukwu. I forgot his last name, Tammy. We call him Ugo. It's easier for North Americans. And he was telling us how valuable the information in this book is, and he uses it in his trainings. And he trains people from all different walks of life in different network marketing companies. And one of them he was showing me pictures that they shared with some ladies that were in what was it called, Tammy? Free Life? No, not Free Life. Forever Living.
Forever Living. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
doing a
that they
training.
were so excited to have this book because he basically talked about it. He says, Chris, some people are going to become millionaire from this book, right? And it made Tammy and I realize the importance of what's in there. And the reason I'm telling you this is Tammy and I have invested into a podcast equipment. We're ready to go, and we'll let you know when it's available, and you'll be able to it's free, right? You just connect to these podcasts and listen to them as you see fit. And every Mondays at 8 a.m., the actual podcast will be ready. Because Monday night we do our Go for Diamond training, but then Monday morning we'll be talking. And right now I've extracted something like 35 different topics, and I'm just halfway there. So by the time we're done, we may have about 100 to 120 topics, excuse me, from this book, which are going to be 25-minute segments. And again, this is to really help the field associates in this environment of what we do to build their network. Tammy and I have been so blessed to have the kind of organization that we have worldwide. And we're literally pouring our heart out into this book with all the information you need. And I suggest that you take advantage of that. But again, once we start our podcast, we're really going to extract a lot of these nuggets that you'll be able to utilize. So after saying that, let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, let me just put this down. And before I begin, I just wanted again to point you in the right direction. If you go to, let me just help you here, www.activeteamtraining.com, as you can see here. Okay, it'll take you to
Hello, Chris and I.
it will take you to this channel, and go to the playlists. And from the playlists, I've tried to categorize every training that has been created. I know you guys have seen this before, but sometimes there's new viewers. And if you go into the success cycle, right over here, okay, and these are the playlists. Okay, these are all the videos that we've done in this particular topic. And start with the success cycle module here, because it kind of envelopes all of the trainings. And we're going to be focusing today on prospecting, inviting, and following up. Now, we're not going to do these trainings. We're going to use them as reference to kind of help you visualize what it is we're talking about when we're sharing in our words how we connect and reconnect with prospects. Okay? If that makes sense, if you're going to give me the thumbs up, either the digital thumbs up or physical thumbs up. Perfect, perfect. I'm watching everybody. Make sure you're listening. Excellent, excellent. And you're not falling asleep while we're talking.
And Chris, I think it's really important that that we go through this on a regular basis. And the reason why it's important to do this is because sometimes when we're new, especially when we're starting to prospect, and connecting with people, in the back of our heads, and I know because I was like that too, I didn't know how to get people started. So it created that kind of fear of, what if I, sign somebody up and they don't have success, or I don't even know how to get them started, or, sometimes that's in the back of our head. And we want to be able to break that barrier that stops people from connecting with people, to know that there is a system in place, and you don't need to constantly send things to a bunch of people. We did this at the beginning because we didn't have this system put together, but it's there. It's there. So the moment you engage somebody to get started, take them to that platform. That is their platform. It's their learning platform. And then you follow through with them with the new associate orientation system. Everything is systematic in that platform. I don't know if you're leveraging it, but we do. We leverage it all the time because we want to save our time and spend our time doing the right activities so that we can get out there and build more business and come up with more ideas and more creation than spending our time doing, going to Active Team, grabbing the link. How many of you do that, honestly? How many have you gone there or went and searched for something and went and sent it to your associates, or even prospects or associates? Yeah. So that's why it's important that you use this tool, which is your site, to use it and maximize it with your new people who are onboarding and coming into the business. Once they see that, then they know that there's a system in place for them to succeed. Because one of the biggest challenges we all know when somebody gets started is, what do I do next? What's my next step? Well, it's there. It's all there. So leverage. You'll make a whole lot more money by leveraging, and then you are spending your time going over there, getting something, I hope this makes sense to everybody. If it makes sense, just put a 1 in the chat section if it makes sense to you to leverage.
Beautiful. So one of the things that I think is important to talk about when it comes to the prospecting is, if you look at this slide over here, and many of you have expressed here that you have quite a few contacts into your social environment, which is either LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is that you're using, Instagram. And one of the things that I recommend, this here is gold right here. Begin with a compliment. I cannot stress enough how many times I've made a contact. So I got people sometimes, even Messenger, people sending me messages, and sometimes they're trying to upsell me on whatever it is that they want to upsell. And you know what? I start with a compliment, and that leads into a conversation. And this conversation leads into more. There's a guy that I met probably about, I don't know, 10 years ago out of Hawaii, I think he was, or maybe California, and a guy that was in Max and one of the team member years and years and years ago, who was just making a connection, and I started with a compliment and what we're all about. Now we're having a conversation. We're going back and forth, right? So many of you, if you pay attention to your contacts, I am not kidding here. If you pay attention to your contacts and what they do, right? Go through their profile and see some of the things that they post, some of the videos that they did. Maybe they're going through a birthday, whatever the situation may be, and begin with a compliment. That will actually make that connection. And some people are surprised that a stranger just got to give a compliment like this. You don't. One of the things that I've learned, or I came to recognize in the accelerator training, and this is so true, especially after the pandemic started in 2020, some people are very, very lonely, really lonely. And when you make a connection like that, a genuine connection with that person, and you share a compliment on, I don't know, the hat they had, or clothing or clothes that they're wearing, whatever the thing may be, that you recognize it, it's sometimes it speaks to you. It might be the one thing that happened to them in months. And that is so true. And you undervalue your worth often. And try this. So when you have a moment, go through your contact, go through their profile. Think about it. Most of you have more than 100. That's a lot of places to go. Go through start from the top. If you don't have that, I mean, if you have thousands and thousands, pick one. Go through their profile and see if there's anything interesting. If you see something interesting, put a compliment. And then from there, they may respond back to you. They may just send you a heart. They may just send you whatever the response may be. And you can also ask an open-ended question. Don't talk about business. None of things like this is, how are you handling, the pandemic? How, whatever. I'm just sharing something out of context here. So you being in a context with that person, following up on something that you saw that you like, you understand? That context, stay within that context. And try to start with an open-ended question that will lead to a response to kind of lead into a conversation. And get to learn about them. Ask questions, but be careful. Of course, they don't, they're strangers to you and everything else. So you have to use your judgment and your common sense on that. Tammy, what are your thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, as you're talking about asking questions, how many people have pets in this group? I mean, how many people have children? Do you know how many conversations you can have where people are on there talking about their kids, going like Beth, your kids going to college, university. How many people have kids that are also going through college and university that are part of your social media realm? I mean, there's so many conversations that you can have, and we all can have, and we're not leveraging it like we really can. And I think that that's something you got to really, really pay attention to. It's not how many people are part of your, because everybody wants to have a lot of names in their connections. But if you don't know these people, you don't really know these people, and they don't want to get to know you, why would you even have them in your platform, kind of thing? You know what I mean? So that's why it's important when you add new people to your list, find a creative way to connect with them. That's got to be a daily goal. Find a creative way to connect with them. Go through their profile. Find something that you really like that you can actually have a good conversation about it, which will lead into other things. Okay. And if you're a person that's sharing a little bit of business, sharing a little bit of product, guess what? I can tell you they're going to look at your profile. The moment you message them, I can guarantee you they're going to click on you and find out about you. So what you put out there matters too. So have a good combination of things that you're putting out there on the platform. So
Yeah, I
yeah, these
totally
are some
agree,
of
Tammy.
my advice in
And and
doing
you,
that.
and you know this here, share relatable stories. This again, golden. And that's what Tammy was sharing. And this is what I mean by looking at some of the things they do that you may relate to. And initiate a conversation just with a like and a compliment. I'm telling you, some may it may go nowhere, but that's what prospecting is all about. This is what we're talking about here. Prospecting, right? You're throwing the bait in the water and see what comes out of it. That's what this is all about. And this it's so easy to do. It's not intrusive again because they're posting for the world to see. You're a person in the world that saw. You're responding. And that's what it's this is what it's all about. So the prospecting, you got to remember it's all about building relationship first. That's what we're doing over here. And some of you may connect really well with this person very quickly. Okay? So let me step to the next one over here. So what's important is as you are prospecting and you're making that initial contact from your social environment, then we want to step into the next process, again, depending on the level of interest. You know how it is. Some people will start sharing some challenges, some things they're going through. And from that point on, you want to help them to invite them to watch information. But most of all, this over here, keep it simple. I cannot stress this enough. We tend to complicate things so much, but you want to keep things super simple. That is very important. And the fact here is that there's a few little kind of inviting tips that we can share with you. But guys, here's the thing is don't get attached to the outcome. If they're interested or not, it's irrelevant. All you do is you're just opening the door if you feel that there is an interest to go further after you've made that connection with that person. And of course, you want to be your best self and you want to be enthusiastic about what you do and not try to kind of knock it down to sound not too excited, but use your common sense. Be yourself. Because, folks, at the end of the day, I know what we have can help every single human being on the planet because of the environment that we're exposed to. So that's be strong and confident. That is, again, the foundation as to why some people are so good at prospecting. It's because they are strong, they are confident in their belief. That's why in the past we've done a lot of training on, belief in yourself, belief in your product, belief in the company, belief in the opportunity. Because if this is discovered and you understand the value that these things brings to you, which in turn can bring to them, that establishes the strength and confidence. And all of that will build on the relationship, right? Tammy, any other points?
Yeah, and be connectable. When people feel really good around you and you have that great energy, positive mindset, people want to be around all of that stuff. So that can lead into conversations. Always find a way, as I go back to connection, find a way to bring them into your world. And you might be saying right now, yeah, it's easy for you guys. You've been doing it for a long time. Trust me, every conversation is different for us. So I have to be creative in trying to bring them into my world of understanding what we're doing and what we're up to based on the questions that I ask them. Often that will come to a question that they'll ask me if the connection is there, which is not always the case. So don't ever think that every conversation you have is going to go the way you want it to go, into a direction that you want it to go. That's why we always say don't get emotionally attached to the outcome, because you might have one of those days where, oh my God, I'm just not connecting with anybody, maybe in a different way, but not the way you want them to go. So you just got to let that go and keep that relationship, and post something once in a while. And I'm still messaging people that I've been building relationships with. They know what I do now. And I just haven't got them to the point where they're open yet. And so we just keep conversations and keep them going. And I keep talking to new people. So that's the key thing, is to constantly do that. And always keep your list fresh and growing and in conversations. And this is when the invitation will come into play. You'll hit them on the right day where they want to look. Now you got the invitation there. You know what to do on your invitation. And then the follow-up process. All of that is connecting and reconnecting. This is what we do.
And of course, this training has to be updated because we obviously have more presentations now in North America. When that was designed, it was one, and things has evolved. And that's what I mean by training has to always have to be updated with the current times. But the point here, again, this is not what you have to do, but I mean, at the end of the day, here's what's important is you want people to be able to follow a simple, duplicatable system in the event that there is an interest, right? If you kind of wing it every time with a person on how you approach the subject of looking at the information, you will find that it will be very difficult for you to create a duplicatable system that actually makes you money. So that's something here. So the training here is designed to give you some guidelines, not to tell you exactly how to run your lives in building your max business, but guidelines to share the information in a way. If you don't want to send that, whatever it is that you send, the key is to be consistent. One thing that I've learned, network marketing is what I do. This is the love of my life. Beside my wife, obviously, my wife is number one. My kids and of course God, and okay, I'm talking when it comes to my business. Okay, what's important to understand here is you want to be consistent. And one of the things that I do, one thing is about trading. I trade in the morning, right? And one thing they teach you, and this is why I'm trying to tell you here, the consistency in doing business. Because at the end of the day, we want to connect and learn to reconnect with people. But at the end of the day, what's the purpose of all that? Is we want to earn an income, a way of living to sustain our lifestyle. So to go back to the training type information that was provided to me, is whatever it is that you do that is working, you want to be consistent at it and not change it on the flavor of the day, on how you feel today. Because something may work today and it may not work tomorrow. But if you develop a system that is consistent, that has shown you some results, which is the reason why we share you the system, is because it has got us all the way up to Crown Diamond. Not just us, but we've helped many people get to an income bracket. It's because it works. And that's the message here, is you want to be consistent in your approach. I cannot stress this enough. And then from there, the approach may vary, okay? Because as you start doing your campaign and you're connecting with people and reconnecting with people that you might have met years ago, or people that you've recently spoke to that you're following through, is you want to have a consistent approach. And that's why we're so excited about December, because the system that we have in place, that Tammy has worked with the leadership that has been part of preparing for the December campaign, and this will continue in January, February, March, and April. And there's a lot of good things that will be added on to that in my conversation with Joe. I don't want to talk about it today because I don't want to confuse and tell you some things that are not here yet, that are coming, that will really complement your efforts in building your business online. So it's to be consistent and duplicating the steps. And I'm telling you that this information, as simplistic it is, it works. It works. So in moving to the next slide is obviously the follow-up process. Um, Again, I cannot stress enough how important the follow-up for me is where most of my relationship were solidified. If I think of how Ghana started 9 years ago, back in mid, was it 2012? I think it all started, and it led to 2013. It might have been 2011, as a matter of fact, when it actually begun. But we're talking 9 to 10 years ago, and the following up was critical, absolutely critical. And one of the things that I did, where is this here? Did you get it? No, no, no. Where was this question? Right here. Following up is doing what you said you would do on the invite, right? Professionalism will attract the right person. That's for sure. But every time I reconnect with the person in the follow up process, I make sure there is a connection from our last conversation. I don't just leave it to chance to see what am I going to say, what he's going to say. I start with what we ended. Just like series, right? When people watch series, they kind of want an attachment from the last episode to say, oh, what happened? What happened? Right? So that's how the mind works. That's how people works. So if based on what you shared and what you finish in a conversation that may lead you to build more relationship with this person, that it creates a sense of familiarity, as I stated earlier, and that familiarity is what keep people engaged. That I cannot stress this enough. Go ahead, Tammy, if you have anything else that you want to add to this.
Well, as you're saying that, in my contacts, as I prospect, invite, follow up, it's in my calendar, and I have notes on the bottom. I have dates beside the last time we communicated, so I know exactly where I'm going with everybody. Because as you start connecting to a lot of people, you'll realize that it is easy to forget, right? So it's important to have notes and when you're getting back with people, because when you have a lot of people in your pipeline, you're gonna have a lot of stuff, a lot of notes written down. If you're doing it right, I'm telling you, you're gonna get some big results. People appreciate this too. I get that many times. Oh my gosh, do you remember that? And I said, yeah, but they don't know that I wrote it all down. Yeah, and so it's important to have notes on all conversations that you're having with each person. So by the time you do get back, you're going to see it's going to be so simple and organized and structured, which is what most people are lacking in business.
Well, it becomes like a routine. It's like going to work every morning, right? You wake up, depending on, you make your coffee, or you take your shower and you take your coffee, then, you know what I mean? You get dressed and you get ready, and it's a routine. And that's what we're trying to share with you here is as you are sharing your business, you got to get into a routine of doing the same activities on a regular basis. If it's just wishy-washy and you do it whenever you feel like it or whenever you're bored, obviously your results may not be there. And one of the things that's important is to understand is discipline your disappointments. I'm telling you, disappointments is part of the process as you're connecting with people, as you're following up with people. It's I'm telling you, sometimes it feels like, God, it's not happening. It's never gonna happen. I've been there, done that, bought the damn t-shirt. But eventually it did happen. The difference between Tammy and I and many others is that consistency and the discipline of managing those disappointments and not letting get the best out of you, because it's life. And I'm telling you, the sun always rises, always. But it's to stay the course in doing these things.
And I always tell myself, I just want to add this, Chris, because it's important. It can ruin your day if you get emotionally attached to this, and then you're going to walk away from probably meeting a really good person if you would have just stayed the course and just put that aside. So I just tell myself, oh my gosh, it's the wrong day of the year, 365 days. Remember, I told you, you're going to get them on the right day. It's just a matter of time. So you keep following up, keep them in the follow-up process until they tell you to get lost and don't ever call them. I mean, how often does
That
that
never
happen?
happens.
Very, very. I mean, I think it's happened to me once on a cold call years ago. And yeah, so I mean,
Between you and my Tammy, would
yeah,
you want to do a business with a person like that?
no,
Exactly.
exactly.
Who
Exactly.
cares?
So yeah, you can't get attached to this stuff. Anybody been attached? Let's be honest. Who's been attached to a conversation that it literally ruined everything and you never got on another phone call, or you never got on social media, or you never got on because somebody just blew you away? We all have gone through that. It's
Yes.
it's it's part of the game, and not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to agree with the things that you're talking about. You've just got to keep moving. Something's going to happen in their situation someday. You're going to make that quick text or that quick connection with them, however way you do it, and they're going to appreciate that you thought of them.
You know, one thing again, and I've highlighted this over here, average 4 to 6 exposure. And
Mhm.
folks, I know for a fact that most people stop at 2, most 1. A significant amount of people starts at 1. It's between 4 to 6 exposure as you are connecting and sharing with the person. And understand what is your goal with all of this. You want to understand where their interest lies.
Mhm.
And when you understand where their interest lies, that's when the relationship builds, because you understand where they come from and what they need and what they want from their perspective. Then be careful with that one. Not your perspective, their perspective. And there's something I'd like to add to this is empathy. Empathy will take you everywhere. And like Tammy says, some people, they just lack some of that, and that's okay. And some people, they don't want to get to know you, and that's okay. That we're sharing this with you because sometimes we get so emotionally compromised by the behavior of someone else that may not be in check. And you don't know this person, and sometimes we tend to blame ourselves that we've done something wrong. No, you have not. I know every single one of you here on this call, and you're all nice people, kind people. You're not trying to hurt people. You're trying to help people. And if people don't see that, that's okay. Just gracefully thank them and move on. And I'm sharing this with you because I know that most people fear the rejection. But if you approach it always in a friendly, helping way, people won't reject you. In fact, they'll be polite about it. That's most people. If someone is not, they're just not qualified to work this business, because you can't work this business if you're rude. You understand? So don't be concerned by that, and focus on what their interest lies from their perspective, and how can we help them fill that gap. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Tammy, on that point?
Yeah, exactly, Chris. You know what? Go back to the chart because I'd like you guys to screenshot this chart of the
Which one,
blue
Tammy?
one
Which
there,
chart are we
Chris.
talking about?
The blue chart,
This one
just
here?
above. No, go down to
Oh, this
there.
one here. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Screenshot this. It's a reminder for all of you. Yeah, make it big. It's a reminder for all of us, uh, the importance of connecting and following up, connecting and following up, connecting and following up. As you can see, 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups after the initial contact. But 44% of salespeople give up after one connection. And I'm sure that network marketing is no different, right? It's probably, a lot of people probably don't follow up more than the chart. 44% stop following up after one rejection. 44%, 22% stop following up after 2 rejections. 14% stop following up after 3 rejections. And it might not even be a rejection. Okay, it just might be they didn't show up in the call, and you took it personal and you just don't call them back. Where they could have, something could have happened with their child and they had to go to emergency, and or they had to take a quick flight because something happened, or people just make assumptions because people are not there, and then they don't follow up anymore. And then that person is a nice hot prospect for somebody else that you did the work. You understand? It's like, that's why relationships are so important. 12% stop following up after 4 rejections, 8% after 5. So think about this when you're connecting with people. You got to think about that. You always connect. You always continue following up, following through, following up, following through. By the end of next year, you're going to have, those of you who said you had a list of 100 plus, like just a random list that you can go into your computer and grab, or it's on your phone, whatever it is, that should easily double of relationships that you've built that you can get back to, because there's another 365 days in 2022. So yeah, we've got so much opportunity to connect with some really awesome people. And that's the way you got to look at it, is connecting with some really awesome people, like-minded people, awesome people that just like you, even if they have a profession that you might be intimidated by. I know I used to be intimidated by people who are highly educated, or doctors or whatever. I'm creating so much curiosity with doctors in Kenya. We're getting Zoom sessions set up. I couldn't do this before, you guys, but now I understand the importance of it all, and the relationship building in the process, and how to just throw a little nugget, throw something small, and then see if they bite. And you'll learn that in the process. But the only way to learn it is to be out there every day making connections, and you'll see.
So, and the thing, guys, I want to spend a few minutes again on the word empathy. Empathy is a powerful, powerful, powerful word. And I have been able to fix, or let me rephrase that, help fix very serious situation that I was facing with some of my leadership in different markets around the world. And also differences between how the field was seeing something and how corporate was seeing that same thing. And at the end of the day, both parties were right. But the problem is they didn't understand the perspective of each side as to how they felt that way. So in this business, often you're going to approach someone to talk about whatever you feel is appropriate to talk about, to interest them, to look at what we have to offer. And they have an idea of what they think that you want to do. And that idea may not be reflecting at all what you think they're thinking. For example, you may turn around and talk to them about this wonderful, wonderful product, and you know how this can help. And in her mind, you're trying to make money out of me. You're trying to make a sale. And you can't see past that. Mm-hmm. So the fact is, empathy means that you understand how they feel and you sympathize on how they feel. And when you build that relationship with them, as you're communicating, try to understand how they feel about a certain thing, especially if they come across maybe a little bit negative, instead of being defensive and try to throw more data and more facts. So one of the things that I want to share with you in reference to the word empathy is what I do is I create a bridge and a third party. Now, we didn't talk about third party credibility here, but third party is what has saved my business over and over and over, and still today. So my recommendation is utilize that bridge with someone that can empathize or help you empathize with their situation. I cannot put a price tag on that. Without this approach, I swear we would not be crown diamonds today. We would not be where we are today. Not even close. That is something that I wanted to add as we end this call is take advantage of a third party who may understand where they are. And this is the reason why in the training we talk about informing or educating the third party credible person, if you understand my meaning with that. Give them the info that they need to understand the situation at hand and create that bridge of communication so that third party credibility can empathize with how they may feel about the industry and about the product or about whatever the situation may be. Of course, this is a little bit more advanced in your communication as you're building a relationship with that person. Understood, right? Throwing a third party right off the bat very cold obviously may not get the same result. So it's important that there's a little bit of work that was done on your part to establish that at least that trust and confidence that you have their best interest at heart. And that's key here. So as some of you are going to start this campaign in December, which next weekend we're going to explain the whole system and the whole plan around it, keep in mind that what you want to do here is establish a level of trust and confidence. And then you want to empathize with how they feel about what's going on. And from that point on, that's when you start following up and you reconnect with these individuals. Tammy, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. So take the time now and go through your connections. Go through all your connections that you already have, because we want to prepare you to launch for December 1st. That's why next Monday's session, we're going to launch our December campaign. And Beth and Chuck are going to be sharing the first part of the campaign, and Chris and I are going to share the second part of the campaign. And Lucy's going to bring some stuff in as well in the participation of the campaign itself. We come up with some really good stuff. And if you feel like going and cheating, you can actually go to the December folder and get yourself familiarized with the December campaign folder so you can see what we've been up to. We're still adding a few more things, but start getting your products out of the closet. If you don't have products, you'll want to get a couple products so that you can make some little things here and there. And there's a video. Alrighty, so there's a video. We're doing some Christmas stuff here, just tiny little things. You know, maybe you don't want to give two of something. Maybe you just want to give, I don't know, an ATP and some candy in a little tiny box, whatever it is, and build relationships with people you already have and customers and potential customers that you could give a little gift, right? It's not much. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And then you know your budget, you know your connections, you know, things that you can create to sell. If you're in an environment that you can actually sell something, put this stuff out there. People might go, oh, what is that? You know, it's just a dollar store. Oh, you got to take the tag off the back, but it's an intro pack, right? So if somebody wants to buy it, it's in a Christmassy environment, right? And I got a little bit of chocolates on the top, and in there's an insert. We'll talk about that next week, because everything you have for the campaign is in the folder. So moving forward, every single December, you have a folder in the active team site, and every one of your associates have this folder. You just take what you need from that folder. You want a Christmas card idea? It's in the folder. Like, you'll see everything's there. So if you want to go and cheat and go look at it, I highly recommend you do that. It'll encourage you to think of everybody you know that you want to do something nice for her. And then next week, we'll go through the process on the 29th. So you'll be ready December 1st to run because it's a 12-day campaign starting December 1st. There's 2 campaigns, 12-day campaigns. All right.
So as we end here, what I'd like to do is, by the way, I just wanted to comment on Marie Jose with your daughter doesn't want you to do TikTok. I get it. I get it. And I know that Sylvia said do it anyway. And you know what? At the end of the day, I know that, and this is what I meant. At the beginning, I saw TikTok as some childish kind of, whatever. I just can't see myself doing this stuff, right? But then I started, TikTok is evolving.
Yeah.
You got doctors, you got naturopaths, you got, and Marie Jose, I heard that you're a poet, that you do some amazing thing. If I was you, obviously you have your French, social environment around you, but I would read poems, and I'm sure some of them are heartfelt, some of them are awesome, and read that.
Yeah.
I'll read a segment of it.
Yeah.
And then just watch the video that Olga posted that she did this Saturday on some of the little tricks that you can play with. And you do that. And I assure you, your daughter will actually be proud, right? So don't think that you have to be silly. Okay, so of course people can do anything they want and to get attention, that's all cool. But again, use your own personality and be you. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay. Now,
yeah, after Olga's session, I went, well, we went to the locker room to get the Christmas stuff. And so we won't be home for Christmas. So we figured we'd put it up early, get it ready. Did you guys see part 1? Okay, just creating curiosity, right? So now people are waiting for part 2. So I'm gonna let them wait a little bit for part 2 and get that one out there. So and I got a part 3 idea too. So I'm creating all these ideas of things that you can do and to create curiosity. Barbara, Ann, and Paul, my goodness, you are musicians. You know how much attraction you can get just by doing a 1-minute segment of something? Anybody have pets, creative little pets, silly little pets that do things? Scott, I mean, your dogs are amazing characters.
Scott, what did the video you did?
You could do amazing stuff with just creating curiosity for people to want to be friends with you and connect with you.
The video, one of the video you did where you remember you were feeding your youngest daughter, and you know what I mean, and you're pulling it out, and that is hilarious.
That was good.
You put something like that, and I assure you, you're gonna get some attention, because one, they're children, and two, it was funny. Right? He was even cute and lovable, So again, these are things, guys, and many of you do some really cool stuff, but you just whatever. Right? So again, it's just food for thought. But just as we finish here, I want to give you an example. This is my page here, our thing. Here's my little daughter, and here's my wife, etc. Okay, so let's go down a little bit, and let's see here. Eddie Mitchell, right? This is a guy that I did business with years ago. He's in Mexico, in Leon. That's a guy that did some big things, but we've been follow. Yeah, and for example, I'm on this page, right? We have 20 mutual friends here, friends that were in Mexico. I'm just scrolling down, say, oh, that's cool. Okay, here he is there.
We've had so many fun trips together. Oh my gosh.
Oh, here we go.
Amazing trips. Yeah.
So he's doing a little video there.
Yeah.
And you know what? He didn't used to be bald when I met him, right? He used to have hair. So I'm going to turn around and say, hold on, let me move this around. It says, hey, Ellie. Oops. I'm not the greatest rapper, so I got to be careful. Love the new look. Let's reconnect. Oops. Okay, here we go. Let's reconnect. Take care. Okay. So, who knows what will happen? It's just one example that many of you can do 1,000 times, right? So that's the thing. This is the message: is you got so much at your fingertip, and you just want to share information, connect with the person, and see where this leads. And that's all we're saying. And if you just do these things, you may end up being so busy responding on people getting wanting to get more information. Okay? So that kind of ends our session today. Next week, we're going to be. Hold on, let me just move my stuff
Get
around.
as many people in your team on next week's session because this is the campaign launch. So we're going to create a lot of excitement within the organization. So make sure that you don't come alone. As Chris always says, when you come alone, you learn. But when you come with guests, you
You
always
earn while you learn.
it's the same thing when you bring associates and they reignite, they get re-excited, and that's what we did when we started the campaign thing. We all decided, you know what, we've been sitting back with this COVID thing going on, and now it's time to create some excitement, some new energy, some new fun. So that's why these campaigns are so important. I'm looking forward to the January and the February. I know you guys are working on it, and excited for that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's end this call. Let's call on this note, and it was great to have you here this evening, folks. And we hope that what we share has given you some insight for you to utilize. And we look forward to launch our campaign. We'll look forward to begin next week. So everybody, thank you so much for attending, and looking forward to really start December. That's my favorite month of the year. Okay, bye everybody.